Fall is all about cozy comforts, and with Hero Bread, you can enjoy all your favorites and still hit your health goals. From breakfast bagels and meal prepped enchiladas to mouth-watering burgers and cheesy noodles. You won't believe Hero Bread's options have 0 to 5 grams net carbs and are high fiber from the taste and texture. And right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code FALL25 at checkout. That's FALL25 at HERO.co. All figures are per serving of Hero Bread. Contains 2 to 18 grams of fat per serving. See the product nutrition panels on hero.co for more information.
Thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile those who have overcome or those who are in the process of overcoming any life topic. We have 3 objectives with this podcast series. Our first objective is we want you to know that whatever you're experiencing in life, whatever you're encountering, you're not alone. We want to join you to let you know that we together can help you through whatever challenge you may have that at the time may seem too difficult to be able to overcome. Our second objective is to help you determine with a very confident resolve there are multiple solutions, multiple factors involved in any life encounter. It's a matter of thinking into and thinking through the life situation you are encountering to determine the various options, the various solutions that are available to you. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If whatever you're experiencing is a result of a decision you made sometime in the past, such that if you had a life redo, you would make a different decision, we want to help you determine the objective facts and factors to evaluate to help you reach a more informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty. Together, we are the Cooper Culture, and the Cooper Culture is sponsoring this podcast series. Today, we feature Kawan Glover. He's going to talk to us about resilience, that attribute to be able to bounce back after being knocked down, after having some sort of a setback, whatever the term may be, but it's that ability to continue to come back and never be totally defeated. It may be momentary, but it's not permanent. Marty, what are some takes our listeners can use from this episode, Kawan, addressing of resilience?
Ron, there were 3 things that stood out to me in this podcast with Kawan. The first thing was he talked about what ifs. What if he gave up? How would that affect his friends, his family, and other relationships that he has? Then he talked about relationships. And the last one is tell yourself each day a win that you accomplished. This helps your thinking, helps your positive thoughts to help overcome your situation.
You know, Marty, in the context of what if, there are a lot of people watching us. We don't really take the time to think about, or there are times we just don't even believe people are watching us. If I were to give up, how many others might give up as well? However, if I show resilience, how many others may follow just what I did? It's a great story. Let's listen together.
Kawan, good to have you back with us. For our listeners who may be listening to Kawan Glover for the first time, I want to strongly encourage you to listen to episode 1. He is still recovering from a 3rd surgery to remove a cavernous malfunction, and I am certain if attitude alone could bring Kawan back to full recovery, I have total confidence he will recover. But Kawan, I think one of the topics that you seem to have just as a part of you is resilience. How is it possible that you can experience any number of failings, and surgery is not a failing, but the recovery from surgery may be longer than what you had hoped. Maybe you have encountered some life events that didn't turn out as well as you had hoped, and maybe there's some aspect of resilience in that. But, Kawan, let's talk about resilience, and I know our listeners are going to be very interested in your perspective on resilience. and it's all a part of some aspect of my past will never dictate my future. I'm moving forward. So let's go for it, Kawan.
Ron, when I use language, I'm very particular about the words I use or the wordings, the way I put words together. And when you look at resilience in the dictionary, it says the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. And it seems like a lot of times when people face something that seems insurmountable, they are more quickly, their instinctual action is to avoid and fall into a state of delusion like that didn't happen, or use it, in fact, as a crutch or a means of manipulations for their current life circumstances. They use it to blame. They blame the trauma. They blame the people around them. Resilience is something that comes from inside, and resilience is the opposite of all those other things I just mentioned. It literally means toughness, and its ability to take blow after blow after blow after blow and continue to get back up. So when I think about resilience in my own case, one thing I do have to mention as a caveat is I had youth on my side. So I had the ability I knew my body will recover to some extent. But then there's that mental aspect where you have to believe, can I go any further? Is this going to be my circumstances for the rest of my life? How would this affect me as a father, as a husband, as a human being on this planet? How would this affect the people around me? And when you take all those things into consideration, because I continue to get back up and move forward, it was just something in me that says, if I stop, everyone else stops. If I give up, everyone else gives up. And if everyone else gives up, there's no hope. And hope is the underlying force that puts me into resilience and keeping that fire of hope burning. And resilience is toughness. It's my ability to weather the blows, weather the storm, and continue to be pushed forward. And like you asked, Ron, it wasn't always innate in me, but I think it was part of my potential to be resilient. When you see who a person really is, when the guns are drawn, when the situation is dire, and I know it was buried within me, and now that I've seen it manifest, I'm able to give that sort of motivation and guidance and inspiration to all those who come into contact with me.
That's a great way to express it. Let me ask you of the expression that adversity does not define you, but the way you recover from adversity can define your character, your resilience.
Absolutely. I think Gary Vee said it best. He said, adversity is the foundation of success. And when you think about perspective and resilience, perspective is the mindset you gain from going through something, from experiencing a trauma. But resilience is the action you take to get through that. So those two things combined make you a very different person. You transform into, it's like trauma, and then you have perspective change, and you express resilience against that trauma. It's going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I'm in avid agreement that adversity is just a stepping stone to getting. You can't have success without failure. You can't have victory without adversity. I think those two go hand in hand. And a way to get from that defeat, that battle, to get through it is just resilience and that toughness to keep getting back up no matter how dire things get.
No, that's well said. Let me ask you about a situation that I just very recently became aware of, and it's a family matter. There were words, actions between various family members, and one person is deeply hurt by the actions that another family member took. And one family member has a tendency to withdraw, or said another way, man, they're in a deep funk. And they're in it's not a clinical depression, but they are just they're really down right now, really down. How would you help a person like that, somebody said something to me that deeply hurts me? How do you help that person develop a resilience that no matter what's said to you or about you, you can overcome that?
Well, you have to think about, and again, I'm very particular with language, depressed. That means like you're a flattened state, very numb. And one of the things human beings have a tendency to do is, let's say you get $1 million. Oh, this is too good to be true. Or you have a very successful relationship. How long is this going to last? Well, when you feel depression or sadness or anger, you automatically accept, yep, I'm angry. Yep, I'm sad. Yep, I'm depressed. So you have to first look at it as that layer. Then you have to actually, contrary to popular belief, when you're in a disagreement with somebody that causes you to fall into depression or you feel hurt, you have to empathize. And that's the ability to see something from another person's perspective, to see how they may be feeling based on what you know about their experiences. In an argument or a disagreement or a discussion, as a person, your goal or the course of action you should take is never to try to get your point across or to never get the person to understand where you're coming from. Your job is to actually understand their perspective. That way, when they do express how they feel, you're not liable to take it as personally. Now, when you're in that state of depression, there are more practical things you can do. Depression comes when you focus on what was or focus too much on what the past was. So this person in your family may be dwelling on what the relationship was before this person said that, or, you know, the dynamic of the relationship before that was said or that argument was had. Finding yourself in the present moment. Is that argument still happening? No. Is that person still trying to hurt you? No. Do you believe that their intention was to hurt you? I'm not sure, but in that moment it might have been, but afterwards they may even feel some remorse. You have to explore empathy again, but also depression, it really depresses you, and that stops you from moving. So one practical counter to depression is getting up and moving, whether it's taking a walk down the stairs, getting out of your bed, and those are usually some of the hardest things to do, but the first step is usually the hardest. Then get up and moving and finding yourself focusing on what's in front of you. Right now, I'm talking to Ron Cooper. I'm on a podcast. Nothing is happening to me. There's nothing around me. There's nothing going on. I'm focused right here in that present moment. So finding a way to find yourself in the present moment, getting up and moving, and then just finding a sense of calm and understanding there's nothing happening to you right now are some of the practical ways to start to get through that depression.
That is a lot of wisdom in that. One of the things we tend to do is we want to enter battle. We want to get an argument. If someone hurts me, someone says something, I tend to fire back to try to get even. But I think what you said is very, very important. That's empathy. It is very possible, and I've been involved in these kind of discussions in the past, I suspect you have as well, that the person said or did something that merely reflects something that happened in their life, and can we take the time to possibly understand what may have prompted them to say what they did. They may not truly mean that about us, but at the moment they said it, it was merely reflecting something that happened in their life, and we may never know what it is until we're able to take the time to try to listen and learn what it is about that person's life that caused them to react the way they did. A lot of wisdom in what you said, Kawan.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And, you know, I'll go further in that. People's impression or the way they deem you to be is simply a reflection of who they actually are. And in that disagreement, in that argument, discussion, whatever it was, something you may have said or something, you know, another person may have said reflected something back at them that either they don't like about themselves or something triggering that, you know, made them feel a certain way that happened in their past. So, again, it's all about empathy and gaining a little bit of perspective. And maybe you're not able to find that understanding in the moment, but going back later and saying, hey, based on what I know about you, I know what I said may have brought up these feelings. That was never my intention, but I do apologize for making you feel that way. Can we continue the discussion in a common manner or resolve this issue somehow? Something of that nature.
No, you're right on, and that to me is the manifestation of taking the high road. I was in a men's Bible study a couple weeks ago, and the topic was brought up that, and I believe it, that your reputation is what others think of you. Your character is who you are. And while our reputation may be one thing, I think in the context of this comparative analysis that your reputation and your character, you want those two to align. And if your character is such that, now, I do care about you, I'll do everything I can to empathize with you, listen, and it's very possible that there's something in your life that caused you to react just the way you did. But, Kawan, I think a lot of this is very defining of a person's character, just how we respond to things said to or about us, but it's a way of taking the high road. Is that the way you would express it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And people care about reputation, especially in this day and age. But then when something happens or that person makes a mistake and their true character is shown and it's not in alignment with the reputation, that's because what the image you put out does not take into account the things you do when nobody's looking. And that's where your true character lies. So I think it takes some time to getting to know yourself, to having experienced some conflict, to really see how you handle the pressure of that type of situation, and a deep understanding of other people and yourself to be able to navigate those situations. So I do strive to help make sure my character and reputation align, but humans, people, myself included, are not perfect. But I think, I heard a quote a while ago, and I think I want to muck it up, but it was just like, your best is not your all. So if I were to do 51 straight push-ups, that would be my best. But if I stop for a minute and continue to do sets of 25 and then 10 and then 2, at some point I might reach 150. That's my all. So just like reputation and character, your job on this planet, on this earth as a human being, is to bring your best as close to your all as possible. And beyond that, you can let the critics say what they may, but I did my best I can, and you did the best you can, and we're doing the best we can as people, and that's all that really boils down to.
That's great. Kawan, for our listening audience who says, man, I like everything I'm hearing, but I don't feel that I have the resilience that Kawan does. What I'm going to ask you, Kawan, is there a call to action that our listeners could take that say, I don't feel I have the resilience that Kawan is addressing? Is it a matter of changing ourselves to some degree to develop that resistance? And I don't want to try to direct you to any sort of response, but accountability partners, what we read, the friends we have, is there anything such as that can help build resilience to where we can be above, where we can take, let's say, when I say above, what I really mean for that is we can take the high road and not be argumentative about, not feel victim of any of those kinds of things. I think you have the answer to this, Kawan. That's just my intuition.
Absolutely. I think your subconscious mind, and I'm reading a lot of books about the brain recently, does a lot of work in the shadows, and it controls most of the things you do each day. So the things you listen to, whether it's music, videos, radio, news, what have you, TV, the books you read, the people you surround yourself with, the first thing you look at when you get up in the morning, all those things take your subconscious take into account to create your actions and behaviors, and they become habits, and they become lifestyles. When you are doing these things and you feel like, oh, I don't have resilience, or I'm not like Kawan. Well, Kawan wasn't like Kawan 7 or 8 years ago. This is something that you wake up with one morning and jump out of bed and say, I'm resilient, I'm going to conquer all things, I'm going to defeat every battle and gain victory in my life and get out of victimhood. This is not there's a rapper that says, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. There is a lot of work I did when nobody was listening, nobody was watching, nobody cared what I was doing with myself to build this level of resistance. It's like going in the gym lifting weights and expecting to walk out with a six-pack and big chest muscles and big shoulder muscles. And, that just doesn't happen. You have to constantly work at this, and it has to be a conscious choice every day to indulge in activities and spend time around the people that really can instill those values in me. You look around your circle, and if you have a bunch of people that are negative Nancy's, that are telling you just to let things happen, that are manipulating other people, that are not successful, that are not holding themselves to their word, that are not taking the high road, you will end up being like those people. So change your environment, change the people you hang around, change the things you consume. Understand this is a process. This doesn't just happen in one day. It's not a snap of a finger. It takes some time, and sometimes, like I believe I said this last time, resilience is built over time, and sometimes you have to give time some time. But when you get there, you won't even realize until you start looking back to where you were. And every day you wake up with that choice, you're better than the day before. And when you lay your head down on your pillow at night, you can say to yourself, you know what? I didn't have a great day today, but I got up. You know what? I didn't have a great day today, but I cooked myself dinner. You know what? I didn't have a great day today, but I went to the gym. You know what? I didn't have a great day today, but I got a promotion at work. And you keep adding those wins on top of each other, and the effect is cumulative. And before you know it, you'll be one of the most resilient people you have ever met.
That is very well said. Now, I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. A lot of thoughts come to mind as you explain what you just did. But as we surround ourselves with, let's say, like-minded, positive thinking people, that's going to be one thing that can be helpful. I think another thing you said, at least implicitly, we will frequently find whatever we're looking for. That is, if we're looking for positive, we'll find it. But if the converse is true as well, if we're looking for negative, we'll find that. So if our mindset is, no, I want to focus on the positive, it is a matter of maybe taking an introspective look. To a degree, it's time out. I just want to take a look at myself, what my habits are, how I spend my time, how I spend my money, and so forth. As I become aware, you use that term, of who I am, what I'm doing, am I feeling a life purpose kind of thing? And if I'm looking for the positive, I'll find it. I just sense, Kawan, that's a lot of your life right there.
Absolutely. And, science backs that up. There's something in your brain called the reticular activating system. And when you get in a new car or you ride around in a car, you're renting, and you start seeing that car everywhere, or you find a particular interest in a very specific shade of blue, and you start seeing that shade of blue everywhere, when you want a certain meal to be cooked at home, and then you go to different restaurants and you see that meal on the menu all the time, that's your brain, your subconscious, your reticular activating system at work. When you focus on the negatives, when you focus on the losses, when you focus on the trauma, you're going to see it everywhere you are and everything that you do. When you focus on winning, when you focus on the positivity, when you focus on your self-affirmation, when you focus on growth in your life, when you focus on prosperity in your marriage or relationships or in your financial situations, that's what you're going to see in abundance. So find ways to focus on those things and don't lose sight of them, and your brain, your body, and your circumstances will soon follow.
Again, well said. I think you're saying that as we are willing to take an introspective look and we make a decision that we want to change from what we're doing to what we need to do, we can make those changes and we can become more like the person we want to be. And Kawan, I admire your attitude of resilience. I admire your ability to always take the high roads. Great stuff.
Absolutely. It's an easier way to live when you're not always focused on what's going wrong. When I'm focused on what's going right, things in other places tend to go right. So that's the way I play it.
That's all great stuff. Kawan, thank you for sharing, man. It's all very positive. Thank you.
Glad to be here, Ron.
Let's talk about your resilience. How would you define yourself in the context of resilience? Are you a resilient person? Do you have the ability to come back from any sort of setback, any sort of disappointment, anything that didn't go the way you hoped it would? Maybe take the time to do a self-assessment. Let's just say on a 10-point scale, how would you rate yourself in the context or in the topic of resilience? Are you a resilient person? Can you almost always bounce back, come back from any type of setback, anything said negative about you, anything that people may not have the same level of confidence in you as you have in yourself? Let's talk about that. Kawan was very descriptive and very poignant in saying that he can't give up. And I want to encourage everyone listening, just never give up. There are too many people watching us, too many people following us. We are, in fact, leaving a legacy. We're building a legacy. And when we are resilient, when we are able to withstand any sort of attack that is lodged against us, and we're able to withstand that and move forward, people admire that. Many times there have been things said to or about us that tend to stay with us. Things such as, you've always been a failure, you've never been able to finish what you started, you've always failed at things. Any number of things can be statements that are lodged in our subconscious that tend to control us. Marty and I are certified life performance coaches through the John Maxwell method of coaching. We too are being coached. We are each a product of overcoming things that have kept us from performing at our designed performance. We have overcome many things in the past. We're still overcoming. We want to help you overcome anything that's keeping you from performing at your designed full performance. We can do that through coaching and help you overcome any of those things that keep you from being resilient, anything that may be keeping you from being able to bounce back from any sort of setback and keep you moving forward. Let's talk. Let's talk about things that you have been able to overcome in ways that you are resilient, things that have worked for you, things that have not worked for you. We function best when we share together, when we are able to be vulnerable enough to share what has worked, what has not worked as well, but we grow with each other when we share our personal experiences. Call us at 410-586-1875 or send an email message to ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, @thecooperculture.com. You can visit us at our website, thecooperculture.com. Let's share experiences, let's leave comments, let's grow together, and let's advance others. We look forward to working with you.